Welcome back to another toy review. Today we're looking at Pennywise. Well, sorry to check my notes. No, different Bill Skarsgård character. We're looking at Crow from Marvel's Eternals. A powerful deviant unlike any other the Eternals have faced over the millennia, Crow's appearance is the harbinger for a global threat. It's also a vastly different appearance from the character in the comics. This is more of a Crow is named after a character from the comics rather than Crow is an adaptation of a character from the comics. And you know what? Sure, that's fine. He is a deviant after all. But as you can see from his appearance, he's pretty frightening. This figure depicts Crow in his final form from the film Eternals, as opposed to his earlier, more animalistic form. Again, if you've not watched Eternals, go watch it. Pretty damn solid. I really like it, and I think y'all are sleeping on it. But yeah, Bill Skarsgård portrayed the voice of Crow, and I think did some mocap for him. This figure is a deluxe Marvel Legends figure. Big boy packaging, because he's quite large. Thing is though, I got him fairly cheap. Forbidden Planet in Manchester had Crow upstairs and downstairs on action figure shelves for $31.99, except for this one. It was going for $23.99. Reason for it? Damaged packaging. This packaging got damaged, look at that. It's not even that bad, it's just like a bit of cracked plastic, bent cardboard. So I think for the sake of people who buy them to display them in box, this guy was put on reduction. All the better for me, because he was never going to stay in the box in this house. Let's get him out of that box and take a peek at the deviant leader, Crow. My, what a big boy he is! Crow is massive! He's sort of Build-A-Figure sized, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of wondering why they didn't make him a Build-A-Figure for an Eternals wave. Instead of Gilgamesh. But I suppose because of how many lead characters there are in the Eternals and our ensemble cast, it made more sense for them to make one of the Eternals a Build-A-Figure just to help fill out the ranks organically. I mean, Ajax and Thena weren't even part of the main wave, they were separate releases, so that's how much they were struggling to fit all of the Eternals into an action figure line. They just went, make a bunch of them the line, and then one of them's a Build-A-Figure, and then we'll make the other two like exclusives to Walmart and Target or whatever. I was like, alright, fine. It meant that Crow came out as a separate release. From what I recall of the film, this Crow isn't exactly screen to figure accurate. I think this is one of those where there's some slight deviations. Because he's a deviant. But the paint scheme seems mostly intact. Let's talk about the paint first, actually. The colouring on Crow is beautiful. The way the greens, the purples, the dark blues, the deep blacks, and the little hints of red all shine when this figure is under lighting is gorgeous to look at. Like, very rarely do you look at one of these toys and go, that is gorgeous to look at, despite his monstrous appearance. Crow's articulation is as follows. He has a pivot in his ankle that goes side to side, backwards and forwards. He has a double knee joint. He has a swivel at the top of the thigh. And he has not too free movement in the crotch, but enough for his strange shape. Crow has no waist articulation. He has an okay rib crunch that allows for a bit of movement, or at least some expressive variety. His shoulders are hampered a bit by the sculpt, but moved outwards, round, and backwards and forwards. He has a very, very well disguised swivel at the top of his upper arm. He has double elbow joint. He has a swivel on his forearm. We'll get back to that in a moment. But he also, of course, has a swiveling wrist and pivot in the wrist so that he can grab things, feel his arms backwards and forwards, all that good stuff. Crow's head has a great range of movement. It's on the double ball-ended peg joint, but because of the sculpt of the head, because there's not too much to it beyond the back of the jaw, he's able to really move it around. It's kind of like a non-peg hole version of the recent Marvel Legends classic Spider-Man head articulations. We're getting nerdy now, sorry. Crow comes with a couple of accessories. He's got two holes in his back with distinctly shaped peg holes, and he also comes with two giant back tendrils with pegs that match the holes. These slot in quite nicely, and though the colour is different from the rest of his back, which gives a slightly offish look to it, the sculpt is nice, and they allow for a bit more balance for the figure. He stands a lot better once those tendrils are in place, because he can either lean back on them a little, or just because, you know, he's spreading the weight out in it. As for his forearms, Crow's arms can pop right off to be swapped out with one of two tendril accessories. Crow comes with a slightly more splayed action suggesting tentacle bundle. It looks like it's smacking against something. It also contains a more rubbery, less restricted dart or blade-like sculpt at the edge. So if you wanted to, you could have him grabbing an Eternal and this blade here going to stab them in the head or something like that. His other tentacles look a little bit more like a hand resting behind that's splitting apart into various shapes, or maybe one that's reaching forward if you want him reaching for another character. This has got very limited capabilities. Both of them do, actually. You can't really wrap them around anyone because they're sculpted plastic. Little rubbery, so they don't, you know, they don't snap or anything. There's some movement. The longer arm, for example, has a rubbery trunk, so if you put any pressure in it, you rest anything in the tendrils, it starts to bend, which is at risk of breaking the piece. So you have to be careful with how you use them. I think it would have been better maybe for him to have a detachable arms in the upper arm. That way, so maybe they pop off at the upper arm joint, that way you could have longer tentacle sculpts and you wouldn't have to worry about what happens when you do put things in his tentacles, which is his elbow joints getting weaker. That is a big problem if you want to play with him, like if it's you or your kid playing with the toy, or if you want to do more elaborate displays. X-nay on the elaborate display day. However, without his tentacles, he still looks really dope. With them, he looks cool too. But I've got to say, I am really glad I got this guy on sale because he is kind of gorgeous. What do you think of the Deviant Crow? Do you like monster toys like him? Are you looking for more MCU villains? I certainly recommend getting this guy as a toy if you want more. Do you think it's a completely original sculpt, or like me, do you suspect there's some reuse of older Groots in here? I think the crotch and the shoulders in particular might be older Groot pieces. I'm looking at you boys back there on the shelf. Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this review helpful and you want to support the channel, you can do it for free by liking the video, leaving a comment down below, subscribing if you haven't already, sharing it with other toy-loving noids in your family or in your friend circle or whatever. French circle. If you want to support the channel monetarily, you can help me pick up the rest of the Eternals line. My Amazon wishlist is down in the comments description below. I'm having a mare here. Or you could shoot some money to my PayPal. Either way, make sure you give me a shout out and I'll thank you for it, but you don't have to do that, it's no obligation. Just watching this video has helped out. I will catch you guys again soon with a figure review from Thor, Love and Thunder, but until then, something an Eternal might say to sign out. Bye!